Cross-examination of suspended Deputy National Police Commissioner General Shadrack Sibiya will continue at the Madlanga Commission in Pretoria this morning. Sibiya has been grilled on his role and conduct in the disbandment of the political killings task team yesterday. The PKTT was disbanded in December 2024 by Police Minister Senzo Mchunu. Now we've got Sakina and Kani out in Pretoria for the latest developments. Sakina, let me hand it over to you.
Just coming back to you here from the Bridget Mabandla Justice College and looking at, of course, today's testimony. And Kenny, just getting back to what we were discussing earlier regarding General Sibiya and his testimony. So let's talk about, how the case is being built here. We spoke about witness F earlier, and his testimony, the part of it which he did give, and also the strategy that General Sibiya seems to be employing here. But just going back to the evidence leaders and how they have approached this, let's focus on that and, talking to issues, such as the disbandment versus discussions about various task teams as opposed to just the political tasks and killings task team.
Indeed. Good morning to you, Sakina, and to the viewers once again. So essentially we've heard the denials and the presentation by Shadrack Sibiya, which seeks to distance himself from the allegations through bringing allegations about his counterparts through the commission. However, cross-examination is not concerned with that. It's concerned with the questions that emerge out of the testimony that is implicating you in the center of these allegations of criminality in the criminal justice system and allegedly having these close associations with these alleged cartels that have allegedly infiltrated this very same system. So the meticulous manner in which the evidence leaders are approaching it is step by step and in quite great forensic detail to get to the bottom of what is taking place here. And already within 20 minutes you saw the first concession take place, and I think that's going to be the common theme throughout the cross-examination, because if you look at the first issue where he says the PKTT directive, or rather to close the PKTT, was something that he cites the Murray report to be responsible for. Now it's important for them to comb through that claim because they've been able to actually sustain the argument that in actual fact the Murray report didn't say that the PKTT must be disbanded. So you can't rely on that, as many have tried, to state that that was the reason why, or rather that was the consultation that took place in order to ensure that the PKTT was disbanded, and it was done so in such a quick and haphazard fashion. So then the question then emerges that if there was no consultation, how then could you ever argue before the commission that it came as no surprise when the directive came out to close the PKTT? How? When the consultation never actually took place, and there was nothing in the Murray report that gave you an indication that this decision was imminent or it was looming. It also attacks the very statement which you seek to advance, that all the high-ranking SABC officials were together on this issue and no one was surprised by this directive, where we've heard many different disciplines or heads of the disciplines come and say that we didn't know, we found out on social media. But cross-examination is quite key because it gets to the truth, the key evidence, what is the most plausible manner in which things have taken place. And already he's made concessions that he can't argue with, that the Murray report actually doesn't say that. And if it doesn't say that, then consultation actually didn't take place. And if consultation didn't take place, then all of these generals are correct in stating that this came as a complete surprise. And if it came as a complete surprise, then the motive shifts from this key procedure that they try to advance as something that was above board to now what was the real motive behind the disbandment of the PKTT. So that is where cross-examination is key, and over the next 2 days you'll see why it's very important to comb through those issues in forensic details, because despite the denials, you'll still be able to get to the truth, because the evidence will not lie to you about what was taking place, especially the timelines. It'll be very clear that you could not have had this explanation, so it can only be something else.
And of course, Kenny, the evidence leaders are pressing General Sibiya to stick to the timelines, as you say, as they forensically combed through that evidence in trying to establish those points to which the concessions were made, and also the fact that General Sibiya, from what we've heard so far, seems to be the only one who wasn't taken by surprise by that decision by Minister Senzo Mchunu to disband the PKTT, when everybody else thought that there would still be discussions and consultations and, at the very least, an assessment of the efficacy of the PKTT, which evidently was never done. With that, it's back to you, Leanne.
All right, Sakina, Kani, thank you very much for that.